Good evening, students. How is every one of you? So, students, we are into third session, third lecture of this chapter 3, that is audit documentation and audit evidence. Now, in our last session, students, we had discussed about risk assessment procedures and tests of controls. So, what was the purpose of tests of control? The purpose of tests of control is to test the operating effectiveness of the controls, to check whether the controls which are operating in the organization, which are operating in the entity, these are capable of preventing material misstatements. These misstatements may be due to frauds or errors. Either these are capable of preventing material misstatements or detecting and correcting material misstatements. And we had also discussed a little bit about substantive procedures, So substantive procedures, students, these are procedures designed by the auditor to detect material misstatements at the assertion level, at every assertion which is made in the financial statements by the management. So the auditor is trying to verify all the assertions which are made by the management through the financial statements by designing substantive procedures. Okay, is that clear? So now we shall be discussing today in greater detail about substantive procedures. What are these procedures and what is their significance and how these are applied? Okay, students. So substantive procedures, students, you would remember in last session we had learned that substantive procedure consists of tests of details and analytical procedures. Substantive procedure consists of tests of details and substantive analytical procedures. And tests of details are further divided into tests of transactions and tests of balances. This you can mean to understand basically tests of transactions like vouching and tests of balances of checking balances like verification, the verification of account balances. And what are analytical procedures? This I have already touched it upon in our last session, and you would be reading reading about this in greater detail in your chapter on analytical procedures. Okay, guys. So now we shall be studying substantive procedures from your module. So guys, module now. Substantive procedures. Now substantive procedures, what is the definition? Substantive procedures are defined as an audit procedures designed to detect material misstatements at the assertion level. So that is very important, the meaning. So guys, once you understand the meaning of a term, almost 60% of your work is done. Your understanding becomes clear. So substantive procedures comprise of two things. What are these two things? These are tests of details and analytical procedures. So tests of detail might relate to transaction account balances, checking transactions like purchase, sales, income transactions, expenses transactions, and account balances, debtor balances, creditor balances, and disclosures. And second thing comprising substantive procedures is analytical procedures, substantive analytical procedures. So analytical procedures, students, we had discussed that these are the procedures which evaluate financial information by discussing the plausible relationship between financial data and non-financial data. Like I had given you the example of the production capacity in a company. So the auditor may correlate production capacity in the company with the sales by performing analytical procedures. Okay, so this is the chart. Again, you have to remember, guys, that audit procedures, this we have done in our first session, consist of risk assessment procedures and other procedures. And other procedures in turn are divided into tests of controls and substantive procedures. Now, tests of controls, students, you have to understand कि भाई जो मैनेजमेंट ने कंट्रोल लगा रखे हैं, क्या वो whether these are working effectively or not. जो मैनेजमेंट ने चेक्स एंड बैलेंसेस लगा रखे हैं, whether these are working or not, whether these are capable of preventing material misstatements due to fraud or error, or and if these are not capable, then whether these are able to detect and correct material misstatements. कि अगर वो उसको प्रिवेंट नहीं कर पा रहे लेकिन उसको ढूंढ तो पा रहे हैं, डिटेक्ट एंड करेक्ट. ओके, एंड सब्सटेंटिव प्रोसीजर्स आर consists of tests of details and analytical procedures. This we have already considered. What do tests of detail consist of? These consist of test of transactions and tests of balances. So guys, you would now understand that tests of controls, that these are not in themselves sufficient for the auditor to obtain reasonable assurance or to reduce audit risk at a low level. Obviously, he has to perform substantive procedures. He has to perform substantive procedures. So substantive procedures are also not sufficient to assess risk of material misstatement at assertion level. These both are performed by auditor. Tests of control and substantive procedures. But you would appreciate, students, that although the auditor may deploy tests of controls, but these might not be useful. Why? Because of many things, like the auditor's risk of assessment is judgmental. Okay, the auditor assesses the risk and it depends upon his judgment, and there are inherent limitations to the internal control. The management may itself, some of the persons in the management may itself be party to overriding the control systems. They may be trying to override the control systems developed by themselves to dupe the auditor. Okay, so therefore the auditor has to perform substantive procedures. That is why importance of substantive procedures is there. Okay, so substantive procedure, students, these consist of another two things. Now these are tests of details and analytical procedures. Now it is auditor's choice whether he may perform only analytical procedures or he may perform tests of details to reduce his audit risk to a low level, or he can apply combination of both. So usually the auditor goes for it. So depending upon the circumstances, the auditor may determine that performing only substantive analytical procedures will be sufficient to reduce audit risk to an acceptably low level. For system where the controls are very strong, control comfort good from which has where control systems are not that much formalized, he may consider that only tests of details are required. Okay, so these two things, these depend upon circumstances. These depend upon the circumstances. What is the nature of entity, how its operation is are performed, how the control system has been devised by the management. And now Hiral is asking, guys, is the audio video clear? Ishita is saying audio is inaudible. I hope it is clear now. So Hiral is asking what is meant by management override. Hiral, I have already explained these terms many times. Management override means that management may be engaged in itself. It may be engaged in not following these controls, or in deviating from the established procedures. Okay, so say the management has created a system of checks and balances, the management has created a system of controls, but some of the key persons or those persons charged with the governance, they might themselves be involved in subverting that controls, in not following that rules. So that is what we mean by management override. That management who is responsible for ensuring that controls are in place and these are being followed. Some persons in management are themselves subverting those controls, are themselves not following those controls. Okay, they are involved in in wrongdoing. You can understand it that way. So is that clear? Is that clear, Hiral? Yes, Dhanlakshmi, is the same clear to you? So audio was not clear for few seconds. So I would explain again this to you guys. Say in those organizations where control systems is strong and the auditor has tested that controls and he is satisfied with the with the evidence he has obtained from testing those controls, then he may think that he need not perform tests of details. He may be satisfied with only applying analytical procedures. Okay, he may be satisfied by just evaluating the financial information. He may not design or carry out tests of details, but there might be cases where tests of details are necessary and appropriate, and these are in fact performed in a majority of cases. Or the auditor may think that a combination of substantive analytical procedures and tests of details are required, or these are most responsive to assessed risks, like what he has assessed at the beginning, what risk of material misstatement he has assessed. Then he thinks that a combination of tests of control, a combination of substantive analytical procedures and tests of details is the best option, is the most responsive way of addressing those assessed risks. Is that clear? Tell me, is that clear? Now, about substantive analytical procedures, we have already read in our last session, and I have also touched it upon today. And now one more important thing is that nature of risk and assertion is relevant to the design of tests of details. Now, when the auditor designs tests of details, which tests are to be carried out, how these are to be carried out, then it becomes very important for him to check these with regard to the assertion he is verifying. Okay, say if he wants to check, the example is given in your module, tests of details relate to existence or occurrence assertion may involve selecting from items contained in financial statement and obtaining relevant audit evidence, whereas tests of details relating to completeness assertion may involve selecting from items that are expected to be included in relevant financial statement amount and investigating whether these are in fact included. Say guys, take example of purchases. Okay, so if the auditor at first he is designing tests to check the assertion of management regarding existence, that these purchase transactions have in fact occurred and these belong to entity and these pertain to the entity, then he would be devising his audit procedures in different way. He would be selecting the items in a different way. If he wants to check the completeness assertion, whether all the purchases which needed to have been included have been included, then he would be selecting items in a different way. He would design the procedures that there might be some cases where say purchases have been entered in stock records, but these have not been entered in the financial books. The relevant bill has not been entered in the financial books. It has not been debited to purchase account. So what is the nature of assertion? That is very important. What kind of assertion the auditor is trying to verify, that is very important. Okay. So this point number 5, this I have already made clear to you. If the tests of controls are satisfactory, if tests of controls are, then the want to go into detailed checking of his substantive procedures. However, if the test results of tests of controls are not up to his expectation, or these are not satisfactory, then obviously he will increase his substantive checking. He would increase area of his substantive procedures. So is that clear to you? So if the auditor has checked tests of control and he is satisfied that all the sales transactions are being recorded properly and these used simultaneously from the stock records and these sort of things, so he gets an assurance from testing these controls that there is less chance, there is less likelihood of misstatements here. So he may not need to check substantial number of individual sale bills, okay, or he may all the entry stock how he became satisfied. He became satisfied by results of his tests of controls. Okay guys, so is it clear? Is it clear to you guys, or should I repeat again? Buffering problem, video buffering problem is there. Okay guys, so I'll try to repeat it again. Because of certain audio issue, I'll try to repeat it again. Students, now are you able to hear me now? Yes, guys, are you able to hear me now? Say students, if I was telling you that before the audit, we take the example of sales. So before the auditor goes into detailed checking of sales, he adopts substantive procedures. He applies substantive procedures in relation to sales. He applies tests of controls. That what are the controls relating to sales? First, he wants to be satisfied about the tests of controls in relation to sales. Now, if he is satisfied about the results of tests of controls in relation to sales, that there is a very low chance of some sale item not being recorded in books of accounts or not being reduced from the stock records, then he might not need to go into detailed substantive checking. He might be satisfied at this stage. Definitely he will do substantive checking depending upon his comfort level, but that scope, that area of substantive checking may be reduced by him. Say if he might have taken a sample size of 25%, now he may come to 10%. So In that way, both test of controls and substantive procedures are important, because we know, guys, we had read in chapter 1 that auditor does his work on sample checking basis. He does not check each and every transaction. He does not check each and every transaction. So tests of controls are very important for him to decide extent of his sample checking. You can understand it that way, because if he gets a good level of comfort, if he gets good level of assurance from the results of tests of controls, then he is definitely going to reduce his area of substantive checking. The extent of substantive procedures would be less. However, if he is not satisfied with tests of control and the results of tests of control are not that satisfactory, or if he finds that tests of controls are not operating effectively, then obviously he would assess that there is more chance of material misstatements in the financial statements. Okay, so he would therefore increase his area of substantive checking. He would increase his area of substantive checking. He would increase substantive procedures. So is that clear to you now, guys? And this relationship is very important, guys. You have to understand this in very simple terms. From understanding point of view, this is very important. So clear? Is it clear to you, guys? Now we shall be reading about external confirmation as substantive procedures. We had learned, students, while discussing about audit procedures, what was the external confirmation? It is an audit procedure. It is an audit procedure. External confirmation is an audit procedure. So guys, just to refreshen up your knowledge, what are the names of other audit procedures? Tell me, drop your mails. What were the other names of other audit procedures which we have studied? Apart from external confirmation, what were the names of other audit procedures? Yes, Hiral, you have asked a good question. Obviously, both tests of controls and substantive procedures are performed by the auditor. Both tests of controls and substantive audit procedures are performed by the auditor. No, guys, I want names of all audit procedures. You are only writing inspection, somebody is writing observation. What were the names of all audit procedures apart from external confirmation? Yes, guys, quickly come on. Very simple. Just refreshen up your knowledge. What were the names of other audit procedures apart from external confirmation? Yes, now you are saying inspection, observation. So what were the names of audit procedures? Inspection, observation, recalculation, reperformance, inquiry, and analytical procedures. Okay. So external confirmation is one of those audit procedures. Now it is a substantive procedure. Now why it is a substantive procedure? Can you tell me, guys, why it is a substantive procedure? Now what was the definition of substantive procedures? Substantive procedures are procedures designed by the auditor to do what? To detect the risk of material misstatement at the assertion level. Now, when I am trying to check the balance of a debtor, say, then I am trying to check the existence assertion. Okay, I am trying to check existence and other assertions relating to account balances. So at the assertion level, this type of procedure, external confirmation, is important because it can help you, it can help the auditor to ascertain whether in fact that balance which is reflecting in the books of accounts of the company, that is correct or not, because he is getting an independent confirmation from a third party. Okay, he also, by sending external confirmation, many things become clear to him. Existence of that party is concerned, existence of that party is confirmed to him, and if the amount tallies, then the whole sales transactions done with that party and payments received from that party, these are also confirmed. Okay guys, so therefore it helps in detection of material misstatements at the assertion level. That is why it is a substantive procedure. So always guys, always remember what is the meaning of that term. Do not ever lose sight of meaning of that term. If what was the meaning of that term, go to that fundamental, and automatically other things would follow. Okay, so normally, usually, external confirmation procedures are relevant in addressing assertions concerned with what we had discussed with account balances. But another important thing is that external confirmations need not be restricted to account balances alone. There can be other things also for which external confirmations are performed, like say the company has entered into an agreement with a third party, and the auditor wants to verify whether there has been change to the terms of the agreement. He has a doubt that there might be a change to the terms of agreement, so he may directly confirm from that party whether there is some supplementary agreement which shows change in terms and conditions. So it is external confirmation as a procedure is not restricted to confirming account balances only, but usually it is undertaken with respect to with respect to confirming account balances. However, it has got other uses also. It can be used for confirming apart from account balances. So this point you should remember, students. So there are certain examples given here when external confirmation procedures may provide relevant audit evidence to the auditor, like bank balances. When the auditor wants to check the bank balances, account receivable, debtor balances, this we have balances, and terms also. And terms also, guys, this is also important. So he is not confirming, he not only confirms balances from the by way of external confirmation, but he can also confirm terms. What are your terms? The basis on which the goods are being sold by that company to the third party. Okay, and another thing is like inventories held by third parties for processing or on consignment. Say students, like you can say, if I am a manufacturer of shirts, okay, so shirt manufacturing involves many steps. Okay, so all the facilities may not be available with me at my factory. So I am only having facility of stitching. Okay, so but pressing facility of the shirt is not available with me. Or you can say other facility like of making some design is not available with me. I have only got stitching machines with me in my plant. So what I would be doing, I would be sending the fabric of shirt to somebody else for designing or for pressing. So at any point of time, some stock would always be lying with those persons. Now, who are job workers? So basically, you can understand that I am outsourcing these activities from these third parties. Say if my stock of a fabric which I have sent to the designer, so whose stock it would remain in, whose books it would be reflected, guys? Tell me, in whose books these stocks would be reflected? Whether it would be reflected in the books of the company who has sent the goods for pressing or designing, or whether it would be reflected in the books of that job worker who is performing these activities. Yes, tell me guys. So what we are trying to say is that external confirmations can be there in respect of stocks lying with third parties for processing. Okay, yes, Ayush is saying in the books of company. Ayush, yes, it is right. Obviously it is the property of the company. Ownership of the stocks remain with the company. The company has only sent it for processing, for doing some activity. These do not belong to the job worker, and these would definitely be reflected in the books of the company. Now, now external confirmations can be with the job worker. The auditor can directly confirm from the third parties. Okay, clear, guys? Four times. So property title deeds held by lawyers for safe custody or as security. Now guys, is the video clear? Is the video clear? Yes, students. Are you able to hear me? Is the video clear? Okay. So there ownership documents. These might be original documents, might be lying with lawyers, or these might be lying with the bank from whom the company has taken some credit facilities, from whom the company has taken as finance, because the original title. So can such transactions. Okay. Now Hiral is asking, can auditor perform substantive procedures as a first step before performing tests of controls? The exact procedure, Hiral, you would be learning about in chapter 4, and you have to understand that many of things might go simultaneously. Okay, yes, by turning off the video. Okay, 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 I'll do it after 5 minutes. So guys, you have to see that may provide less relevant audit evidence in some cases. So guys, this is very important. This is very important contrapoint. I had told you to remember contrapoints. So normally the external confirmations are a very reliable means of audit evidence, isn't it? So, but in some cases, external confirmations provide less reliable audit evidence. How the external confirmations can rely less relevant audit evidence, can provide less relevant audit evidence? Say in case I am trying to confirm the balance from such a party um, which is say on the near bankruptcy. Okay, so the recoverability of the amount itself. Okay, so in such cases, what? So in such cases, the reliability of the audit evidence would be low. Okay, and students, you have to understand that to ensure that evidence obtained from external confirmation is reliable, it is important that confirming party from whom confirmation is being sought, he has knowledge of that subject matter. Say like we take the example of the agreement. If I am sending confirmation to the relevant person who has got the knowledge of that agreement, getting, then only I would be getting a proper response. Or willingness of the intended confirming party to respond, that the party to whom external confirmation has been sent, it is willing to respond. Say if I send the confirmation and the third party may not choose to respond, then I have no option available with me. I have no remedy for that. He is not bound to respond to my confirmation. So these kind of things. So guys, we are going to discuss essay 505 relating to external confirmations. So because we are in this topic of external confirmation as substantive procedures, so it would be useful if we simultaneously consider essay 505 also. So we shall now be directly going to essay 505. The assertions we have already done, students. Now students, we are starting essay 505 related confirmation. There is a auditing on external confirmation which deals with many things, which deal with how these confirmations are to be designed and which defines many terms. Okay, so what are positive confirmations, what are negative confirmations? So okay, so should I log out and log in again? Turning off video. Now it's clear. Yeah. So essay 505 external confirmation, guys. Now it is clear. Is the network issue over, guys? Please drop the mails. Yes, sir. Yes, guys, please drop the mails. You are able to hear me now? Is audio video clear? Yes. So guys, you would appreciate more reliance from, obviously, audit evidence is more reliable when it is obtained from independent sources outside the entity. Obviously, information obtained from third party is more reliable. So that is why audit evidence is more reliable when it is obtained from the independent sources. Secondly, audit evidence obtained directly by the auditor is more reliable. Obviously, when the auditor is himself obtaining the audit evidence, then it is more reliable. And audit evidence is more reliable when it is in documentary form. Documentary, students, you need to understand that it need not be paper. It need not be paper form. It may be in electronic form or in any other medium. It is known as documentary evidence. Okay. So guys, the video has been intentionally turned off. You are able to see the screen because of certain network issues. You are able to see the module and you should be able to hear my voice. Okay. So what does external confirmation mean? External confirmation may be defined as an audit evidence obtained as a direct written response to the auditor from a third party. The confirming party, it may be in paper form, electronic, or other medium. So when I am sending request to a third party for confirming his balance in the books of the company, then that third party is known as confirming party. That third party is known as confirming party, and he is giving me a written response. Now he may send me a mail or he may send me a letter by post. Okay, so or he may send it by any other means. It is known as confirmation. However, it has to be certain written response. So it cannot be oral, because if it is it will not be external confirmation. Okay. So external confirmation is the audit evidence obtained as a result of direct written response to the auditor. It is a direct written response from the third party, from the confirming party, in the paper form or in the electronic form, to the request which has been sent by the auditor. So is the definition clear, students? External confirmation. Now there are these components: that audit evidence obtained as a direct written response. Now who is sending the request? The auditor is sending the request. The auditor is sending the request. And the who is giving the response? The confirming party. Now confirming party is giving the response to whom? To the auditor. So audit evidence obtained as a direct written response to the auditor from a third party, okay, in paper form or by electronic or other medium. Is that clear to you guys? Now we shall also be first learning about few terms which have been used in this essay. Few terms used in this essay. Now what are these terms? These are 4 terms: positive confirmation request, negative confirmation request, no response, and exception. So what is positive confirmation request? Say guys, I, as an auditor of a company, I send external confirmation request to a third party for confirming account balances of say Mr. X. So if the confirming party agrees or disagrees with the information or provides the information, then it is a positive confirmation request. Now I say to him that in the books of company your balance is say 5 lakhs. So please confirm whether your balance is 5 lakhs. Now the party gives me a response and states, yes, my balance is 5 lakhs. So it is an example of positive confirmation request. If it says no, my balance is not 5 lakh, but it is 5.25 lakh, even then it is positive confirmation request, because the confirming party agrees or disagrees with the information in the request. Now I have given him a request to either agree to this information or disagree with this information. He is submitting the response. So the fact that confirming party is giving a response, it is a positive confirmation request. So he is responding to my positive confirmation request. Okay. And negative confirmation request. Now I tell him, I design my request in such a way that confirming party should respond to me only if he I would assume that he is agreeable to it. Say I design my request in such a way, when I try to confirm the balance from him, then I design my request such a way that if you do not agree with it, then you please confirm it. So if I say to him that your balance is 5 lakhs, if you do not agree with it, then you please confirm it. Then it is a negative confirmation request. Okay guys, is that clear? Yes guys, you are able to hear me? Yes guys, are you able to hear me and you are able to see the screen? That I have sent a positive confirmation request कि you agree or you disagree, please inform me. Okay, but the other party chooses not to respond. No response. He does not give us a response, or the letter say, if some letter I have sent to him for confirming in the form of positive confirmation request, that has come back undelivered. Say the address not found, with the remarks address not found. Okay. So this is non-response. So you understand, positive confirmation request, negative. Fourth is exception. Fourth is exception. Now the other party gives a response, but required to be exception means a response that indicates a difference between information requested to be confirmed and information provided by the confirmed party. Like say, if I have asked for some information, records, and that is what we mean. So guys, you have understood these 4 terms: positive confirmation request, negative confirmation request, non-response, and exception. So students, I would again repeat all the four terms. I would again repeat all the four terms. Positive confirmation request means that the auditor is designing his request in such a way that confirming party agrees or disagrees with the requested information. I request him, whether you agree or you disagree with it, you please send your response. Is that clear? Positive confirmation request. Now negative confirmation request. Now it means a request in such a way which has been designed by me in such a way that confirming party only gives response to me only if he disagrees with the information provided in my request. Is that clear? I ask him, please respond if you disagree with the information. Say if the balance of Mr. X in my books is 5 lakhs, I ask him to respond only if balance is more than or less than 5 lakhs. If it is 5 lakhs, no need to respond. So non-response. Now non-response means when the other parties say either it is not available, okay, or it fails to respond to the positive confirmation request. So Ayush is asking, sir, why in module it is written that non-response is in respect of positive confirmation request? Say Ayush, it is so written because negative confirmation request is in itself a type of non-response. I am asking the confirming party to respond only when he disagrees with me. Okay, so it is also a sort of non-response, but I am seeking a response from him only in certain condition if he disagrees with me. However, in the case of non-response, the party does not respond to me at all in case of positive confirmation request, because I have asked him to respond to my request. In the negative confirmation request, I have already asked him to respond to only a specific situation. So that is why it is not included in non-response. Is that clear to you, Ayush Agarwal? Yes, Ayush, is it clear to you? And exception means when there is difference between the information which is requested to be confirmed and the information which is supplied by the confirming party. Is that clear? Is that clear to you, Ayush? Please let me know. External confirmation procedure, students. All this we are reading, students, in context of essay 505. You have to understand that all this we are studying in the context of essay 505. So external confirmation procedures. So simple general things, but again you have to understand that the auditor shall maintain control over external confirmation request, including determining the information to be confirmed. What information is to be confirmed? First of all, foremost thing in carrying out that he would determine, he would pinpoint which information is to be confirmed from the confirming party. That is very important. It cannot be vague thing. The other party, the confirming party, may not be having such time to respond to a long query given by the auditor. He would only respond when the is crystal clear. The sought for information is crystal clear. Okay. Determination requested. So first thing is determining the information. Now second point is selecting the appropriate confirming party. Okay. Second point is selecting the appropriate confirming party. He has to select the party from whom confirmation has to be sought. Now students, we had learned that confirmation should always be sought from the person who is having the knowledge of that subject matter. Say if I am sending confirmation of some information regarding information contained in some agreement, then I must be addressing the confirmation of that procedure. Only then I will be able to get the response from the confirming party. And third thing is designing the confirmation request. Now that is very simple, that you have to design the request, that requests are properly addressed. If you have written wrong address or if you have written to wrong mail ID, then although you may be thinking that you have sent the confirmation, but the other party might not have even got it. So when where would the question of confirming arise? Okay. And fourth is sending the request including follow-up requests. Say you have sent a request and the other party has not responded in a time frame, that or the you observe that the information given by him is not clear, so you may follow up the request. Okay, you may follow up the request. So these are the four things, students, you have to remember while designing external confirmation procedure. What are the four important things? What is the information to be confirmed? Selecting the appropriate party, designing the request, proper addressing of the request. Okay. And fourth is sending the request and including follow-up. Sending is very important. You have designed a request, but you have not sent it. You have failed to post it. You have failed to send it by speed post. If you had decided, you had designed a procedure that all my requests would be sent by speed post, but some of them have not been sent by your office boy. Okay. So Sudhanshu Pandey, you are asking what is the difference between positive confirmation and exception? Now, positive confirmation, Sudhanshu, it covers a situation where the auditor requests a request in such a way that the other party, if he either agrees it or disagrees with it, he sends the confirmation. He sends him that, sir, please confirm your balance with it. The other party might say that I am not agreeable with it. Whereas exception relates to the case where the information which is sought by the auditor from the records of the company is different from what is being sent by the party. I have already request Janvi. It so determining the information to be confirmed. Now that is the first foremost thing is that you have to determine what information is to be confirmed, what info is to be confirmed. Now first the auditor has to be clear in mind. Now this may be related to some account balances or may be related to terms of agreements, contracts, transaction, or to confirm the absence of certain conditions such as a site agreement. So I might want to confirm from the third party whether there exists some site agreement or whether there does not exist some site agreement. So I am trying to confirm him from I am trying to confirm from the third party absence of some condition. Okay, so the one thing which we had learned is that external confirmation procedure is not restricted to account balances alone. It can relate to other things, to the terms of agreements, etc. But usually it is undertaken with respect to account balances and their elements. Okay. Now, second point is selecting the appropriate confirming party. Selecting the appropriate confirming party. Same thing that I have to send the request to the confirming party who is knowledgeable, who has knowledge of that request. Okay. Because if I am sending the request to the person who is not having any knowledge of that subject, then I might end up with getting no response. Designing confirmation request. Designing means that it should be properly addressed. Okay. Proper layout and presentation. He has to assess whether there is a risk of fraud or misstatement. The confirmation should be properly addressed and dated. Okay. The method of communication, that is very important. Now the auditor has to decide whether he has to send it by paper form, say by speed post or registered post, or say by mail. Okay. And another very important thing is management's authorization or encouragement to the confirming parties to respond to the auditor. Now management of the company whose accounts are being audited, it should also persuade, it should also encourage the persons from whom external confirmations are being sought to respond. Say if the management persons encourage the other parties to respond, they would respond quickly and accurately because they are having business relationship with that company. So they would not be liking to spoil their business relationships. So obviously if a phone call goes to all the persons that our auditor is sending you external confirmation request, so kindly respond in the given time frame. So it goes a long way, then many of the parties would respond. Okay. Another important thing is the ability of the intended confirming party to confirm or provide the requested information. Say it might so happen that the other party might not be having all the information available with him, which is being sought to be confirmed. Okay, so say if the auditor is asking for a confirmation of a total balance, say he is asking for total balance of 5 lakh as on closing date. Now this is one kind of thing, but if he is asking to confirm individual invoice, then it is another kind of thing. This might be a detailed exercise. So the other party might, the confirming party might give some excuses or may not respond because it might be cumbersome. So these are the factors. These are the factors which are relevant, which are useful while designing confirmation requests. So Dhanlakshmi, you are asking why on audit or similar engagements is relevant while designing confirmation requests. Say if the auditor is auditing the accounts of the company, say for past 3 years, then obviously he has experienced that the debtors and creditors of this company, they definitely respond to me. Say if in the previous years almost all the debtors have responded to his requests, then in next year also they have responded. So obviously his expectation in third year would be that all these parties would be responding to me. If say hypothetically you can assume that debtors are the same in all these 3 years, the parties to whom the company is making sales, these are same, then definitely the auditor would have previous experience of getting confirmation from these parties. He would be also having knowledge whether it is proper to send the request through mail or through post. So these kind of things. Is that clear? Yes. Is that clear to you, Dhanlakshmi? Now Janvi is asking, external confirmation can be asked once at the assertion level and again during the audit process. Now Janvi, we had read about external confirmation as an audit procedure. Okay, so external confirmation is nothing but a audit procedure. It is a way of how the auditor collects the audit evidence. It is a way, it is a procedure, one of the procedure how the auditor obtains the audit evidence. Okay, so so there is nothing that once it is applied at assertion level and audit process, it we had discussed assertion for the sake of understanding, the subject. Okay, the audit procedures are applied during the course of audit, during the process of audit. Clear to you guys? Is it clear to you, Janvi, Dhanlakshmi? Is it clear? Now Ayush is asking why specific a risk of material misstatement are to be considered for sending external confirmation request. Obviously, Ayush, that is very important factor. Say, if I have a reason that I believe that this party to whom confirmation request is being sent, it is the transaction with these are fraud risk factor. Okay. So I may not be satisfied then only with that party confirming with the balance. I will request him to send your complete copy of account with dates and narrations. So I might send such kind of request. So what is the nature of risk? This is definitely useful in designing external confirmation requests. Is it clear to you? Ayush Agarwal, is the same clear to you? Now follow up confirmation request. Follow up on confirmation request. Now somebody had asked what is the meaning of follow up on confirmation request? Now these are additional confirmation requests when a request to reply to previous request has not been received within a reasonable time. Say the auditor has sent a request and the party has not responded. So the auditor might want to take another chance. He may verify the address at which it was sent and he may follow it up. We had sent to you the original request, but you have not responded. Kindly respond. So it is a sort of follow-up. It is a follow-up request. And guys, now this thing is very important. Point number 5.8, very important. Now what happens? What happens if the management refuses to allow the auditor to send a confirmation request? Say the confirmation, the auditor can send the confirmation request only if management is willing. Say if the management does not provide complete communication address, if the management does not provide the proper email address, if the auditor wants to verify the confirmation, he wants to send confirmation through email, because these are all things which would be available with the management. Say if the management say we do not want you to give addresses of our suppliers because it would leak our business secrecy. The management might say so, or it may not provide complete addresses, complete email addresses. So what would happen in such a case? So these are the 3 steps which the auditor shall take. Now, first thing is to inquire why management is refusing. Why? He has to inquire why management is refusing. Because by inquiry, he might come to know about certain genuine reasons. Say out of 10 parties, the management may provide addresses of 9 parties and not of 1. There might be in fact some genuine reason, some practical situation that out of 10 the address of 1 party has not been provided, communication address of 1 party has not been provided, or the person to whom the confirmation is to be addressed, the name of that person, his designation, that has not been provided. There might be certain practical reason to it. No, Nagalakshmi, audit procedures are not done with management acceptance. The auditor chooses the audit procedures which are to be adopted by him, which are to be applied by him. But it may so happen that management may not be comfortable with some of the audit procedure and might not cooperate. So this is what it is being taught to you, that in such a case what would happen, that if management does not cooperate with the auditor in allowing the auditor to send a confirmation request, then what would happen? Okay, so first thing would be that the auditor would be inquiring. Second thing would be he would be evaluating what would be the effect of management's refusal on risk of material misstatement and whether he should increase his audit procedure, whether he should increase level of his audit procedures. Because we have learned, students, that external confirmations are a reliable way of obtaining audit evidence. These are definitely more reliable from information internally generated by the organization, by the entity. So he has to evaluate and he has to assess the risk of material misstatement and perform alternate audit procedure to obtain reliable and relevant audit evidence. He has to perform other audit procedures. Say if he is satisfied with the reason given by the management. The management says that I do not want to provide you address of this party. Out of 10, one party I am not going to provide you. There is a genuine reason to it. There could be a business reason to it. So I hear the management and I inquire from them and I say I am satisfied with their reason. You can assume if I am satisfied with their reason, then I would perform some alternate audit procedure which gives me reliable and relevant audit evidence. Okay. Say like if I am not able to get external confirmation request, then I might say the management that you are showing this balance of debtor in your debtor statement given to bankers every month. So give me the copy of that debtor statement. Give me copy of that statement submitted to the bank. So this could be the kind of alternative audit procedures. But this is only when I am satisfied with the reasonableness of the management's refusal. That I understand that I am satisfied that management's refusal is genuine. Okay. However, if I conclude that management's refusal to send a external request is unreasonable, okay, then I shall communicate the matter. I shall put into writing and I would assess that what is the impact of it in my opinion. So how it would ultimately affect my opinion, and I will accordingly may modify my opinion. So I will modify my opinion accordingly. Okay. So is that clear to you guys? This point is very important. So guys, you have to understand that if management refuses, I have to inquire why they have refused. If I am satisfied with their reason, then I shall assess the risk of material misstatement and shall perform alternative audit procedures. However, if I am not satisfied with the reasonableness of the management's refusal, then I shall communicate with the management, with the persons responsible for governance, with those charged with governance, and I would assess what would be effect on my opinion ultimately, and I may have to modify my opinion. Is that clear to you guys? Is that clear? Yes, students, is that clear? Now, results of external confirmation procedures. Now, this is also, students, a contra point here. Very important. See, there might be some practical situation where auditor doubts the external confirmation response, where he doubts the reliability, doubts about the reliability of external confirmation response. There can be situation, say we have known the some cases where the companies have been able to produce fake certificates from banks also. So if the auditor thinks that response to a confirmation request is not reliable, then again he will do the same thing. He will assess the risk of material misstatement, including the risk of fraud, and he shall determine what shall be further audit procedures. He shall determine what shall be further audit procedures. It is, again, guys, I am trying to explain to you, it is not the usual case. Normally, external confirmation responses should be reliable, but there might be certain situations, say, where the auditor has been duped, they have been fooled, and the auditor doesn't know that he has been fooled. Okay, but he may have doubt in his mind that that response to the confirmation request which he has received is not reliable. So he can question that also, and he may have to assess risk of material misstatement, and he may have to decide upon the nature, timing, and extent of other audit procedures. Okay, is that clear? Clear, students? Now we shall go to negative confirmations. Now we had discussed about negative confirmations in the beginning of essay 505. So what were, students, negative confirmations? Negative confirmations means when requests are designed by the auditor in such a way that other confirming party responds only when when he does not agree with the information, when he disagrees with the information. So normally, generally, negative confirmations provide less persuasive audit evidence. These are less, you can say, less reliable, less persuasive audit evidence than positive confirmations, because in positive confirmation the other party confirms in both cases, whether he agrees with it or whether he disagrees with it. But in negative confirmation, he confirms only when he disagrees with it. Okay, so these therefore provide a less persuasive audit evidence. So these shall not, the auditor shall not use negative confirmation requests as sole substantive audit procedure to address assessed risk of material misstatement unless all of the following are present. So these four conditions should be present when the auditor designs negative confirmation request. In these conditions, he can design negative confirmation requests. Now, what are these conditions? Now the auditor thinks that the risk of material misstatement is low. Okay, and he has got sufficient appropriate evidence regarding of controls. Also low, the risk of material misstatement is low. So I might feel that it does not affect me whether the other parties replies or not. Okay, and the number of parties are also very large. So I might be feeling that there are thousands of parties. So every party should be, if I send a positive confirmation request, then it would be very difficult for me, okay, to receive positive confirmation response from every positive confirmation request. So I might be sending negative confirmation request, because by experience I know that that there could be only little possibilities of variation in balances. Okay, so I would request that you only send your request only if your balance disagrees. Is that clear? A very low exception rate is expected. It means that there is a low chance of difference in the information which is given by the auditor and which is being confirmed by the party, and the circumstances that negative confirmation to disregard such requests, that he feels that all the negative confirmation requests would be responded by the parties, because these would have to be responded by relatively very few parties. Say out of thousands, only 20-50 might be having different balances. So the auditor is not aware of these conditions, that they would not respond to the negative confirmation requests. Okay. So clear, students? Negative confirmation, in what conditions negative confirmation requests are usually sent? Now, Sri Nagalakshmi, negative confirmation requests are to be sent normally in these four conditions, when all these four conditions are present. It means the controls are operating effectively, the assessed risk of material misstatement is low, there are less chances of fraud, and the auditor wants only few people to respond. Okay, there are, say, large number of debtors, thousands of debtors, small debtors of small value having thousands of rupees of balances. So he would be designing his confirmation in such a way that only persons with who disagree with this request, they only respond. Okay, and there is low exception rate. Low exception rate again means there is chances of information being different is low. Okay, and the auditor feels that all there are no factors are known to the auditor that these requests would not be responded. He reasonably feels that negative confirmation requests would be responded, because obviously these would be responded by very few people. So the auditor doesn't know factor, doesn't know these any of such factors. Okay. So is the point clear to you guys? I have already explained point D 2-3 times. Now evaluating the audit evidence obtained. It means that whatever the audit evidence the auditor has got, he has to assess it. He has to evaluate it. कोई भी audit evidence है, that has to be evaluated. That has to be evaluated by the auditor. Okay. He has to assess it. What is its reliability? He has not to accept it blindly. Yes, Hiral, all of the following conditions should be present to send negative confirmation requests, because negative confirmation requests are usually not sent. Normally, positive confirmation requests are designed by the auditor, but in such conditions, negative confirmation requests can be designed. Okay. I have already responded to your question, Hiral. So at this stage, students, we shall be taking a short break of 10 minutes. Okay. So break of 10 minutes. Yes, welcome back, guys. So, Amrit Pal Kaur, you are asking what is meant by population here in the context of external confirmation procedure. When we were reading about negative confirmation requests, so I told you students that when the we had taken an example, say when there are small account balances and all the account balances are small, so it means these are of one kind, these are one homogeneous population. So population, we refer to the number of items, okay, from whom the balances which comprise the whole, the parts which comprise the whole, okay. So the whole is the population, all balances from to whom the confirmation requests are to be sent, negative confirmation requests are to be sent. These are homogeneous small population, okay. So now we come to essay 501. This is another important essay, essay 501. Essay 501. So what is the name of this essay? This is audit evidence, specific consideration for selected items. So this students, this essay, this standard on auditing deals with audit evidence relating to 3 items. So we shall be discussing auditors' responsibilities in this regard in relation to these 3 items. What are these 3 items? How the auditor obtains sufficient appropriate audit evidence with respect to certain aspects of inventory. One thing is how the auditor obtains certain sufficient appropriate audit evidence in relation to some, not all aspects, some aspects. Now, what are those aspects? This we shall be discussing. Another point is litigation and claims involving the company. Say the company is in some dispute, some court cases are going against the company. There are some claims against the company, or the company has filed some cases. So what are the auditor's responsibility in this regard? How he should frame his audit procedures? And third point is segment information in an audit of financial statements. Say the company is engaged in dealing in different type of products. Say one segment is textile, another segment is manufacturing of LED lights. So all these segments are separate, identifiable, which calls for reporting of segment information, which call for segment reporting in accordance with the applicable financial reporting framework. So how the audit procedure should be designed? So this essay 501 deals with these 3 things. So today, first of all, we shall be discussing about certain aspects of inventories, of stocks. Now, what kind of audit procedures should be designed by the auditor in relation to inventories? Now, all these things which we shall be reading, students, is in the context of essay 501. So what is the objective of auditor? The objective of auditor is to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding condition of the inventory. So we shall be taking up this first. Now the auditor is concerned with obtaining sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding existence and condition of inventory. The other two things which are discussed in this standard, litigation and claims involving the entity and segment information. This we shall be discussing later on. First, we shall be discussing only about the procedures which are applied by the auditor to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding existence and condition of the inventories. Okay, so SA 50501 asks the auditor, requires the auditor to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding the existence and condition. So this is the first point. When inventory is material to the financial statements, the auditor shall obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding the existence and condition of inventory. Now these two words are most important. The auditor is concerned with the existence and condition of inventories. Now we are discussing the audit procedures which are to be applied by auditor regarding existence and condition of inventories which are there as per SA 501. It doesn't mean that auditor is not concerned with other things relating to inventory, but SA 501 deals with auditor obtaining sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding existence and condition of the inventory. So what does this mean, guys? Existence and condition. Existence means that the inventory shown in the financial statements, which is as per books of account, that in fact exists. Okay, so the auditor is verifying which kind of assertion? The audit existence assertion of inventories, that the company is showing that there were inventories of say 20 crores as on the closing date. So whether these inventories existed on the closing date or not, and what was the condition of inventory, whether these were running items or whether there was substantial old slow moving dead stock in it, the items which were not moving, the items which might have deteriorated, the condition of which might have gone bad, the quality of which might have become deteriorated because these are very old, these might not be sellable. So these kind of things. So guys, you understand first of all that SA 501, as far as inventories are concerned, it deals with the auditor obtaining sufficient appropriate audit evidence relating to existence and condition of inventories. Okay, so how he will obtain audit evidence relating to existence and condition of inventories? How he would come to know that so much inventory, so much stocks were existing as on that date? How students, how he would come to know? So the SA 501 states that he would obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding the existence and condition of inventory by attending physical inventory counting unless impracticable. So the auditor has to attend physical inventory counting. Guys, one basic thing you have to understand: auditor is not counting every piece of stock himself. You understand? It is not his job to count every piece of stock by employing his staff. He is observing the inventory counting process being conducted by the management. Say the management is conducting is taking physical inventory, is undertaking physical count of inventories at the closing date. So the auditor shall attend the physical inventory counting unless impracticable. Unless it was impracticable, it was not possible. So what could be the situation that it was not practicable for the auditor to attend physical inventory counting? Say during COVID period, it so happened that there was lockdown all over. So there was lockdown all over. There were restrictions of central government, state governments, local authorities. So the how the auditor could have attended the physical inventory counting, or how even management could have conducted the physical inventory counting at the first place in those situations. So guys, you have to understand that this standard on auditing has not been made after the COVID period. It exists from so many years. So, but such things have been duly considered. Such things have been taken into account, that there might be certain situations where it might not be practicable for the auditor to attend physical inventory counting. So, but otherwise he shall attend physical inventory counting unless it is not practical. Okay. So what does he do? So what the auditor does at physical inventory counting, what he does? So first thing, what he would be doing, he would be seeing what are the instructions of management regarding physical counting process. What arrangement the management has made regarding physical counting process. Are the arrangements proper? Are they would they be able to give correct results? What is the what are the instructions given to the inventory counting staff? Who is controlling this whole exercise? So this question would be definitely addressed by him. This question would be coming to his mind. Second, observe the performance of management's count procedures. Now, when the inventory is being counted, he would observe the process. He would observe the process. See, the management has made certain arrangements for counting of inventories. Then he would observe whether this process is being followed, whether all the instructions are being followed, whether counting is being done properly or not. So these kind of things. Number 3, inspect the inventory. He would also inspect the inventory and perform test counts. Now, inspect the inventory means, like, he may say if the inventory is of shirts, then he may open few boxes and inspect the inventory to know the condition of the inventory. Okay, so you understand that auditor, as far as SA 501 is concerned, he is concerned about obtaining sufficient appropriate audit evidence relating to existence and condition of the inventory. So he inspects the inventory to know its condition. Okay. And perform test counts. Perform test counts means he shall also physically make test checking. Say out of 1,000 box lying in a godown, he may count pieces in 5 or 10 boxes to gain the satisfaction. This is the meaning of performing test counts. So is it clear to you guys? And number 2 is performing audit procedures over reflect. So it means that the auditor shall also apply audit procedure to see that physical inventory is reconciled with inventory records. So whatever the inventory records are showing, the position physically, that position is same. Is that clear? He would obtain audit evidence regarding existence and condition of inventory. Is it clear? Now attendance at physical inventory counting. It involves inspecting the inventory to evaluate its condition and performing test counts, observing the process performed by management and obtaining audit evidence. So these procedures, guys, these procedures might be substantive procedures or these might be test of controls. Say the auditor might use this as test of controls. Whether controls deployed by the management on inventories are working or not, or he may do it for actual checking as part of his substantive procedure to detect risk of material misstatement, to verify the assertion of existence. Okay. Clear, students? Are you in, guys? Are you joined in? And are you able to hear the video and audio? So what are the matters which are relevant in planning attendance at physical inventory counting? What are relevant matters? What are relevant matters considered by the auditor in planning physical inventory counting? Say the auditor has planned to attend the physical inventory counting at a closing date. So what factors he should keep in mind? So what factors he should keep in mind? So these are the factors he should keep in mind, like nature of inventory. What is the nature of inventories? Say whether these are perishable goods which are liable to which are of low shelf value. Okay, so what is the nature of goods? Whether it is say fabric or yarn, then it might be it can get easily damaged if it is lying in open. It may gain moisture, or it may be damaged by the rains. Okay. However, if it is say some kind of iron goods, then these might be lying in the open. Okay. So is that clear? So stages of completion of work in progress. Now, if the inventory also relate to work in progress, then what is the stage of completion? At what stage is the work in progress? Okay, is it first stage or is it some intermediate stage or is it near finishing? So that is also relevant for the auditor because it helps him in determining the condition of inventory, and it also satisfies him that in the risk of material misstatement related to inventories. The risk of material misstatements related to inventories. So what could be the risk that there could be misstatements in the inventories? What could be the risk that that there could be differences in the quantities as regards what is being reflected in stock records or what is being reflected in the what is being physically counted? Okay, whether adequate procedures are expected to be established, whether proper procedures have been given, instructions have been given for physical inventory counting, and what is the time of physical inventory counting, whether it is being conducted at year end or it is being conducted at some other date, where the inventory, what is its location. So these kind of things, and whether assistance of an expert is needed. Now this assistance of an expert is needed. Now the nature of inventory might be such that the auditor is not able to easily understand its condition. Okay, so because the company might be dealing in something with which the auditor is not having much knowledge about. It might be a new kind of product, so the auditor might be might avail the services of expert. So he would first evaluate whether whether some expert opinion is required, whether services of some expert is required. So these are the factors, students, which are to be kept in mind by the auditor while planning attendance at physical inventory counting. That before he physically attends the counting process, these are the factors which have to be kept in mind by him. Is that clear to you guys? Now, physical inventory counting conducted other than at date of financial statements. Say it might so happen that auditor is not able to attend physical inventory counting at the closing date. So there are certain circumstances, some contingency happens, he is not able to attend physical inventory counting at closing date, but he attends it at some other date. It is not that he has totally foregone this procedure. He attends inventory counting process at some other date, say 15 days after closing of the financial statements. Say, then what will happen? Then he has to perform additional procedures. What kind of procedure? That what is the change between the 31st March and 15th of April. So if he takes the inventory at 15th April, physical inventory, then he can make back calculation. He can make back calculation. What sort of back calculation he would make, guys? What sort of back calculation he would make? Say if he attends the inventory counting process on 15th of April instead of 31st March, then what sort of back calculation he would make to arrive at the inventories, quantities of inventories as on 31st March? Yes, guys, any answers? What sort of back calculation, what sort of audit he would make, guys, to arrive at inventory as on 31st March? Say during this period, sales might have taken place, so he would be made during this period, so he would be reducing those quantities. Okay, so by this way he may arrive at quantities as on 31st March, and he would have to reconcile it with stock records as on 31st March. So if the auditor is unable to attend physical inventory counting due to unforeseen circumstances, the auditor shall make physical counts on an alternative date and perform procedures on intervening transaction like of the kind we had seen. Okay, yes, Ayush, you are writing correctly. So this point we have already discussed. If the physical inventory counting, attendance at physical inventory counting is not practicable, the auditor shall perform alternative audit procedures. Okay, so if there are some practical difficulties, like we had considered the example of situation arising due to COVID-19, it was not at all practicable to attend physical inventory counting process. So the auditor must have performed some alternate. Okay. So, however, if he has not been able to perform alternative audit procedure, then he would have to modify his opinion in his report. Is that clear? So guys, one more thing you have to remember regarding this impracticability. See, you have to understand that every situation is not impracticable. See, the auditor cannot say that the location where inventories are stored are far off, or it is difficult to go there, or it takes 2 days from the company's head office to go there, so he will not attend the physical inventory counting procedure there. Guys, you had learned in chapter 1 that if it is written in essay, if it is provided for in standards on auditing that some procedure has to be performed, then auditor has to perform it irrespective of the time and cost involved. Okay, so therefore the matter of general inconvenience to the auditor is not sufficient to support a decision that attendance is impracticable. This we have already read in chapter 1, guys, in context of essay 200. That matter of difficulty, time or cost is in itself not a valid basis for an auditor to omit an audit procedure for which there is no alternative, or to satisfied with audit evidence that is less persuasive. So the auditor cannot take shelter every time that the location was far off, it was inconvenient for me to go, so I did not attend the physical inventory counting process. Okay, so there has to be sufficient reason for him to state that it was not impracticable. However, when genuinely it is impracticable, then alternative audit procedure have to be performed, like the kind of what we have stated, like checking from records, doing back-end calculations. Okay, and if these procedures provide sufficient appropriate audit evidence, it is okay. If these do not provide, then auditor may have to consider about modifying his opinion in the report. So this thing, students, we have already done regarding the stocks, inventories lying with the third parties. In external confirmation procedures, we have already done it. So if some stocks are lying with the third parties, say for job work, the auditor might request confirmation from the third party, not only about the quantity, but also about the condition. And he may also want to visit, if the circumstances permit, he might go there and he perform inspection as an audit procedure. He might perform inspection. Clear, students? So is that clear to you guys? The physical inventory counting, essay 5, how the auditor obtains sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding existence and condition of inventories as per essay 501. Basically, you have to understand that he has to attend physical inventory counting, and he has to see what are the instructions of management, how the test counting is being performed. He has to inspect the inventory. He has to perform the test counts also. But if it is not possible for him to attend physical inventory counting as on the closing date, then he might attend it at some other date and perform alternative audit procedures. In case where it is totally impracticable to attend physical inventory counting process, then he shall perform alternative audit procedures. And if these provide sufficient appropriate audit evidence, then it is okay. If these do not provide sufficient appropriate audit evidence, then he has to do what? He has to modify his opinion. Okay, guys, so is that clear? So guys, now are you ready for certain MCQs? Yes, guys, are you ready for certain MCQ, for certain correct, incorrect type of questions? Yes. Now Ayush is asking, sir, as on 31st March, many banks do not do operations. Yes, Ayush, you are correct. Because he is asking what kind of operations they are doing. Ayush, during the closing of books of accounts by banks, they have to prepare a lot of statements for onward submission to their controlling authorities and for use by the auditors. Okay, that is why there is this procedure of 1-2 days, that there would be no banking business. The staff of the banks come to the branches, but for customers, banks are closed because they have to make a lot of statements. Although these days much of the work is automated, but they have to keep the information ready for the auditors. They have to prepare certificates for which are to be verified by the auditors, and they have to keep the information handy. Okay, they have to obtain all the printouts of the statements which are required for auditors verification, for auditors checking. So these are kind of things which banks are doing. Okay, clear? Is it clear to you, Ayush? Inquiry is sufficient to test operating effectiveness of controls. Inquiry is sufficient to test operating effectiveness of controls. Is this statement correct or incorrect? Now, inquiry as an audit procedure, is it sufficient to test operating effectiveness of controls? Only 2 mails, guys. Rather, only 1 mail from Hitesh Jain. What about others? Now, Sushil, assertions we have already read in chapter 1 and also in first session of chapter 3. Inquiry is sufficient to test operative effectiveness of controls. Yes, guys, are you still logged in or you have left out? Because I am getting very few mails of this answer, this question. Inquiry is sufficient to test operating effectiveness of controls. Is the statement correct or incorrect? Is the statement correct or incorrect? Yes, few mails have come. Inquiry is not sufficient. This is an incorrect statement. Only by making an inquiry, guys, you can the effectiveness of controls, operating effectiveness of controls cannot be tested. It has to be coupled with some other procedures like reperformance or inspection. Inquiry would give only a corroborative evidence, supportive evidence. Okay, so inquiry is not sufficient to test operating effectiveness of controls alone. It is not sufficient. Now, second, question number 2. Substantive procedures can provide sufficient appropriate audit evidence at assertion level. Substantive procedures can provide sufficient audit evidence at assertion level. Yes, what should be the answer, guys? Question number 2. Sufficient substantive procedures can provide sufficient appropriate evidence at the assertion level. Yes, only 2 mails, Hiral and Shubham Mishra. Substantive procedures can provide sufficient appropriate audit evidence at assertion level. Now, this statement is also incorrect, students. They are they cannot alone provide sufficient appropriate audit evidence at assertion level. Rather, this statement, students, is slightly ambiguous. Here it should be substantive procedures can alone provide. So then this statement would be incorrect. So substantive procedures alone can provide sufficient appropriate audit evidence. They can provide sufficient appropriate audit evidence, but they alone cannot provide sufficient appropriate audit evidence. They have to be coupled with tests of controls. Okay. Now third is substantive procedures comprise tests of details and substantive analytical procedures. Whether substantive procedures comprise tests of details and substantive analytical procedures. Is this statement correct? Yes, Hitesh has only replied. What about others? Guys, have you not joined in? Shubham, Sudhanshu, you are answering but without question number. Kirti, you are responding but without reason. Yes, it is correct. Substantive procedures consist of tests of details we have considered and substantive analytical procedures. These consist of these two things. Now fourth, an auditor checks that all sale bills of the company during year 21-22 have been recorded in sales accounts. It is an example of checking completeness assertion only. The auditor checks that all sale bills of 21-22 have been recorded in sales accounts. He is talking about all sale bills and in sales accounts. Then it is an example of checking completeness assertion only. Or another assertion is also involved. Question number 4. Or another assertion is also involved. Yeah, Hiral, substantive procedures alone. I have already said that there is a mistake in the statement. It should be alone. These alone cannot provide a sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Has to do both the things, tests of controls also and substantive procedure also. However, within substantive procedures, he may choose to rely upon either on analytical procedures or on tests of details. I think only Ayush has given correct answer. Ayush has said that it is an example of completeness assertion, but it is also an example of classification assertion. How? Because it is written that all sale bills have been recorded in sales accounts. Here that it is being recorded in proper account, so it is an example of classification assertion, and all bill have been included which needed to be included, so that it is an example of completeness assertion. Now, fifth point is audit evidence may be oral. Correct or incorrect? Audit evidence may be oral. Yes, students, audit evidence may be oral. Is this correct or incorrect? Question number 5. So guys, many of you are answering correct reason of this question, but conclusion is wrong. You are saying that audit evidence may be oral because when the auditor is inquiring, when the auditor seeks information, then he is just discussing the matter with the management. Okay. So, but you are writing the conclusion that it is incorrect. How it is incorrect? Audit evidence may be oral. It can be oral. It is not always oral, but it may be oral. So it is correct. So you have understood my point. Ayush, you have written the reason correct. You have answered the reason rightly, but conclusion is wrong. You are saying that statement is incorrect, but reason is correct. Inquiry, you are writing inquiry may be oral. It is true, inquiry may be oral. Therefore, the audit evidence may be oral. So the statement is correct. How you are writing it is incorrect. And Hitesh, you are writing that it is incorrect because it can be oral, documentary, or visual. Yes, it asks you to comment whether it can be oral or not. Yes, simple. It can be oral. Why are you getting confused? You are saying that Hiral Parikh, you are asking, but how to document oral evidence? Oral audit evidence is by very nature would remain oral, but the auditor can make a note of it in his documentation that so and by and with that person, and he orally informed me. Now, who is asking this? Sushil is asking, what is the answer of MCQ 4? Answer is incorrect because it not only consists of completeness assertion, but it also consists of classification assertion. So guys, sometimes very simple question, it is there in our mind, but sometimes we answer it wrongly due to haste. Always due to haste with which we try to write the answers. So we will also do some more MCQs, guys. 2 more MCQs we will be doing. Yes, these two, guys. These two. An auditor of a bank branch. Now, guys, whenever you are sending answers, do write your question number. So, an auditor of a bank branch. Now, the audit is being conducted in a bank branch. during course of audit sees work being carried on and performed by clerks, officers and manager. This type of procedure is inspection. The auditor is seeing the work being done by manager, clerks and officers. He is seeing what kind of procedure is done by whom, what the clerks are doing, and how officers are passing instructions. So he is just keeping a watch. So what type of audit procedure it is? Say the auditor is seeing how the cashier opens his cabin and how he makes his records. Yes, only reply of Janvi. Hitesh, yes, Hitesh. Sudhanshu, Hiral, Ayush, yes. Almost every one of you has answered it correctly. It is observation. He is observing the work of somebody. He has not just inspected the premises, he is observing work being performed by others. Okay, so another is question 5. The auditor of a company has obtained an aging schedule of sundry creditors from reports generated by the accounting system. The auditor again carries out aging of sample of sundry creditor himself. It is an example of recalculation or what? Question number 5. Yes, question number 5. Accounting software has given a report providing aging schedule. Providing aging schedule of creditors. So the auditor again carries out the aging. That creditors are 30 days old, 60 days old or 90 days old. So more than 90 days old. So he has already been given a report, but he again carries out the process of some sample of creditors. Then what? Recalculation or what? Yes, Janvi, Ayush, Sheral, Sudhanshu, Hitesh, all of you have written correctly. Good guys. It is re-performance. It is re-performance. It is not recalculation. He is not making some sort of only recalculation. He is re-performing a procedure which was part of internal control procedure of the management, and he is again doing it. He is again doing it. Okay, so is it clear? Is it clear, guys? So now, students, you have learnt about SA 505 and you have also learnt about SA 501 partly. So today what we have done? We have learnt about substantive procedures, and we have also learnt about how external confirmations can be used as a substantive procedures, and we have also discussed contents of SA 505 regarding external confirmation procedures, how external confirmation requests are to be designed, what are positive confirmation requests, what are negative confirmation requests, what is meant by a non-response, what is meant by exception, and in what circumstances external confirmation requests can be sent. We have also discussed about SA 501 partly regarding only auditor's responsibility regarding obtaining audit evidence with respect to existence and condition of inventories. We have also discussed that he has to attend physical inventory counting unless it is impracticable, and we have also discussed how in what situations it could be impracticable, and it has not to be taken as a general rule, as a general matter of convenience. He cannot say that in every situation that attending physical counting process was inconvenient, therefore he can omit this procedure. No, he cannot omit this procedure, as we have already read about it in chapter 1, that how cumbersome or difficult or costly a procedure may be, the auditor cannot omit it. Okay guys, so I think you have understood the concepts which we have discussed today. So good night to all of you. Good night guys. Thank you. Thanks for patient listening, and we again feel regret for technical snags. There were connectivity issues. So thanks again for bearing with us. Okay guys, good night to all of you.